All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know I say this every week, but I'm pretty stoked to have my guest tonight. Just her catchphrase, I shred bad resumes. I shred your resume. Um, like y'all saw in my post, she she takes your resume, redoes it, throws it in the trash, starts over, revamps it, and kind of helps you stand out from all the other corporate penguins, in her words, of the world trying to get a job. So I'm going to bring Stefanie out. Hi, Stefanie.
Hi,
Thanks for being on. I appreciate it.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, Thomas Bankston is here.
Hi, Thomas.
Yeah. And I forgot to tell you this backstage. If you look up in the top right, there's a little tab that says comments. I don't know if you can see the comments showing up over there.
I do, yeah.
Okay. All right. Good deal. You can't respond to them or do anything with them, but you can kind of see them if you need to answer any questions or whatever. Maria's here. Hey, Maria. Glad you made it. All right. So tell us about Stefanie.
Well, I am a self-made expert. I am expert in trashing resumes, and I do have a trash can here to help me with that.
Right.
And yeah, I love to write. I love to help people, and I love what I do.
Awesome. So tell us about the self-made part, because that was the thing that kind of stuck out to me whenever we met a couple weeks ago. Tell us about your experience and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so this actually started for me back in 2007 when I was in college, and it was very unintentional. I just got good at what I did. I mean, I got a lot of mentoring, I got good at writing, and throughout the years, it just kept progressing. I ended up building a lot of networks over my professional career, continued to get more help, got even better at writing, and then I was really good at negotiating. I did a ton of reading on finance. I've been working in finance. I mean, I've just done it all. And so fast forward to now, I've just got, the end-to-end process of
Yeah.
not just writing a resume that's good, but also how to effectively interview, how to effectively negotiate, how to just be an aggressive corporate professional to get what you need.
Yeah.
And it goes far beyond just the piece of paper.
Right. Shout out to Maite real quick. I think I'm saying her name right. I trip over it every time. Maite. She introduced us. She's the one that suggested I reach out to you and see about getting you on my show. So thank you for that.
She's an awesome people connector.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah. So tell us, just kind of walk us through your process of when somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, Stefanie, I need some help getting hired."
Yeah, well, the first thing I always say is let's look at first what we're looking at from, the baseline perspective. What does your resume look like? What is that getting you? Because if your resume is not getting you any traction and you're not getting that many interviews, you should probably look at what you're starting with, which is usually your resume, which could be maybe it's just not getting through the systems, or you're not telling the right story, or it's not compelling enough or competitive enough against your competition. Let's start there. Now, if you have a good resume, we can take the next step and figure out, okay, is there some kind of gap in you're not interviewing well, or what's going wrong there? But I'll say 90% of the time, I say your resume is just not that great. It's not passing the systems. It's not telling the right story. It's not effectively worded. It's not clear. It's not communicating with impact. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I find something.
Yeah.
Where I say this needs to get fixed.
Yeah. And, and people using the cookie cutter templates off of Word or whatever, it doesn't leave any room to be creative, really. Well,
you have to be careful with that file, though, because now this is an interesting fact. ATS, which stands for Applicant Tracking System, a lot of companies are using this. And so if you don't have a file that's able to get through those systems, you're already at a disadvantage. So if you're not tech savvy, and this is just kind of like an FYI for anybody who's not tech savvy, that's something that you're going to have to either get on board with and learn yourself, or get someone to help you, because getting through those systems is key. So you could be somebody who's really experienced and very well educated, master's degree and higher, but it won't matter if you can't get past the system. It's a big roadblock for a lot of people.
So what is that ATS system? I've never even heard of it till right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's totally automated, which is like,
Okay.
it's good from the perspective of it helps them from an efficiency stance, so they can kind of weed out applicants just from a really baseline, like, okay, do they have the qualifications? But those systems are designed for the employers, not the applicants. So again, like if you don't know how to, and I don't want to say beat the system because that's not like the right terminology, but
Right.
you don't know how to navigate these systems and know how to give it a file that it wants. Because remember, and I explain this to everybody, resume goes through the computer like this. It's trying to digest it. If you're giving it this really hard to digest, I don't understand, the computer can't read it, you got to think like a computer. And it sounds weird, but if you have way too much going on in your file, tables, charts, pictures, icons, links, all kinds of stuff, the computer is going to go, whoa,
Yeah.
I can't handle this. And by default, you are just going to be rejected. None of what you put in there will matter because you'll never have an opportunity to get through.
Wow.
It works. It's automations at its finest.
Yeah.
So you have to think like a computer. You have to get basically past the algorithms and all the coding behind those systems and how they were built.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Kenny, it does not sound like it's that great.
ATS is not so scrumptiously, deliciously,
Yeah.
good.
So that's Kenny. Kenny shows up at everybody's lives and just drops all kinds of encouragement and keeps the chat going live and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of one of his deals is savor the flavor and scrumptiously, deliciously, edibly tasty good. So he kind of put a spin on that there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to touch on what Maria said because she says she's not sure with the state of California if they use that system. She knows actual people who reviews the applications. So that is what a lot of people do is they say, okay, well, if I know the hiring managers or I know the people who I need to talk to, I don't even have to deal with the system. And that is an option. I mean, it's more effective, but maybe not everybody has that leverage.
Right. I was going to say, really, if you're applying, especially at a corporate job where, telling how many people are going to be applying, how many people are going to know the hiring manager or somebody in HR or whatever.
Yeah. And this is what a lot of people end up doing is they say, okay, well, if I can't get through the system, then I'm just going to find these HR people on LinkedIn and I'm going to send them a message.
Yeah, because that works.
What? You and everybody else is doing that. So guess what? Your message is going to go to the bottom just like everybody else.
Yeah. So, and anybody that spends any time on LinkedIn has heard the rants and seen the rants about connecting with someone and then immediately hitting them with a sales pitch or, hey, hire me, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll say
it's ineffective.
If you need any recommendations on how to really stand out on LinkedIn, I would check out Trevor Houston. He's got some really good stuff on, not being the one of a million messages in a recruiter's inbox. I mean, he's got some really differentiated things to where you can really stand out and be someone who, if you really wanted to go that route, if you didn't know hiring manager.
Right. I think, Kenny, what a person is supposed to do is hire Stefanie. I think that's what they're supposed to do.
Well, what you should do, and I'm going to bring it out again.
Yeah.
Trash what's not working, okay? If your resume is not getting through the systems, be done with it and be done with it.
Yeah.
Get a new one because it's not working.
Right.
And I tell people that all the time. I mean, what do they call doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results when it's not working?
Insanity.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, why are you going to keep doing it?
Yeah.
Start over.
Right. All right. So you take a look at the resume, you review it, you trash it, you tweak it, you work your little magic hands on it and make it awesome. What's the next step?
Then from there, you have to have a good application strategy. I mean, because if you're only, and I'll just use this as an example.
Sure.
If you're only applying online and that's it, and that's all you're doing, that's not that great. It has to be robust. So I always challenge people and I say, what else are you doing besides strictly just applying online? That's a great first step. And I commend that, but that can't be all you're doing.
So, and I've never worked in the corporate world. I've always worked small town jobs. So I've never been through a hiring process like that. So when I read posts about it on LinkedIn, like it's Greek to me because I can't even fathom a 3 to 7 interview process and all that kind of craziness. What if the job is only an online application? How do they get past, or how do they do something more? How do they make it more robust?
Well, there's different research things that you can do to see, and this is where I work one-on-one with people. And I say, okay, let's really look at this. If this is the job that you really want to go for, and your only way that you can do it is through the application online, yes, that is a formality. You're going to have to do that. But let's really look at other potential leverages that we can try to pull out here to see if there's a way to really make this a compelling, really aggressive application for you, so that you're not just the other person like everybody else applying for this. And, so I really try to work creatively, and I try to find ways to say, okay, how can we think outside the box? What can we be doing different to make you different?
So you mentioned like coaching through the application process and negotiating and all that kind of stuff. So tell us about that.
So I'll just say, well, you want to start with interviewing because I want to.
Okay, yeah, let's start with the interview.
Just going in the order of operations.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Let's say that you finally get an interview and you're like, oh, that's great. So there is a thing that you can look excellent on paper. Now that would be after you get your new shiny resume and all that, and you've sold them on the fact that you've got the skills required for the job. Listen, if you walk into this interview and you're a nervous Nelly, you're not going to get hired. Just bottom line, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So remember, this is a communication thing, both in writing and in person. So if you're going to go in there and you're going to be nervous, or you're like not sure, and you're like not confident, and you're like, I don't know, and like all of this nervous energy is coming out, or you just can't interview, then you're not going to get an offer.
Right.
So I always try to tell people, okay, you got the interview, which means you have the skills. Okay, so we did that. Now let's get your interview game up, because what I'm seeing is you're not confident, or you're stuck on this, or whatever. You don't know how to answer that. For me, the interview prep it's not talking so much about the stuff on your resume. I mean, part of it is, but the other part of it is, do you just know how to talk to people?
Right.
Do you know how to interact with other people?
Right.
Where it's not coming off weird.
Right.
I mean, think about it. When you go to an interview, you're probably nervous, right? So got to get around that. You have to be able to walk in there like you've done your research, you know what you're talking about, and a lot of that goes down to confidence. Yeah.
So how do you help people boost their confidence?
I just work on them one-on-one, and I start saying, okay, you're really good at, coding, for example, but I'm talking to you just as a human, and I'm already seeing that your nervous energy or whatever. So I basically go through and just kind of do like a gap analysis in a way. And I say, your stuff, but you just can't communicate, or you're giving me the nervous vibes, or you're giving me the whatever, body language is another thing. If you're sitting there like this and you're like, weird. It's just weird.
Yeah.
You gotta, so like I tell people stuff, and I say, remember the smile on your face, your facial expressions, the way you carry yourself, the whole thing, all of that matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
let's pretend for a minute that you got through the interview, and now you're going to get to the negotiation, and you're like, okay, I have a rock star resume. I obviously nailed the interview because now I've got an offer. And then they're like, well, I don't know how to negotiate, so I'm just going to accept what they give me. What? That's not good.
Right.
Seriously, guys. Okay, newsflash. Guess what? These companies expect you to negotiate. So if you're not negotiating, that means that joke's on you, and you're not going to get the most aggressive offer.
Yes, it is always a negotiation. Right? Yep.
Always.
And that can be intimidating.
It can be intimidating if you don't know what you're doing.
Right. I was going to say, if you don't, and I don't know what I'm doing. So if to negotiate a salary in like all the places I've worked, you get hired on it. It's not a negotiation. So having to do that could be a little intimidating for somebody that doesn't know what to do.
Well, no, I guess because I have a financial background, and so for me, I can't wait for that opportunity. Like, I'm a numbers cruncher.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. I love it. I actually went to my Toyota dealership because I had a nail on my tire, and they were like, "Can we convince you to get a new car?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know if you want to have that conversation with me because, I don't want to drive around this parking lot. I just want to talk to the finance guy and just kind of grill him because, that's what I'm good at." They never called me back. I don't know if they'd want to deal with me, but yeah, like for me, numbers is comfortable. Finance is comfortable. I mean, I do investment stuff on the side. Like for me, this is my bread and butter. So when I hear someone who's like, "Oh, like, I don't know," don't even know the first thing about negotiating the base, let alone like investment options or anything else for that fact. I'm sitting there and I'm going through my checklist and I'm like, okay, do you even understand this stuff? Because if you don't understand this stuff, how are you going to negotiate it?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so part of it is I have to teach people what this stuff is. And then I say, okay, and this is how you go into the conversation and then actually like effectively negotiate through this.
Yeah. So Kenny had a question. Where was it? So how do you spice up your application? How do you like, what do you do to it to make it?
You do have to, I'll say, be different. That is the key.
Yeah.
It's the differentiation. If you are like everybody else, you're going to end up like everybody else. So always ask yourself, how am I different? And that's where the creativity comes in. Depends on what spice.
Yeah. They're having a whole conversation over there between themselves in the comments. I love it. Yeah. What do you do to add spice or make the application flavor to add to the application?
See, Maria says that she knows math well and not going to lowball. I'm always reasonable with anything.
Yeah.
Good. Don't ever just accept what they give you. If you accept what they give you, that's not good.
I got this dude here.
Where Ken says, where do we go to find these Unite spices? Well, if you're talking about resume spices, I guess that would be here because that's like what I do.
Yeah. But so let me address something real quick. Lucas Edward, man, this isn't the time or the place to be spamming my live with your Bitcoin DMs, wanting people to DM me for Bitcoin. So I would appreciate it if you wouldn't do that. You're more than welcome to join the conversation, but don't try to drum up business during my live. I appreciate it. I just looked up his profile and he's a Bitcoin dude trying to spam people in the comments of the show. So bye, Felicia.
Yeah. That's not good for my reputational.
No. There's people that do that though. Like they'll find a live and they'll just jump in it and start spamming it. It happens every once in a while.
That's not good.
No. Stephanie has the recipe.
Good answer, Maria. Good answer.
Yeah.
It starts with getting in the trash.
Getting in the trash.
It's true.
Yeah. What about some savory keyword advice?
Oh, yeah. So keywords. So anybody who understands like SEO, like if you're in marketing and stuff like that, it's the same idea. So the more keywords that you have in your resume, that's going to help you because again, the algorithms, they're looking for, if there's 10 keywords in this requisition and the word management hit 20 times, computer is going to look for the word management, so are you, that's all it's doing. So for you as the applicant, again, think like a computer, the more keywords that you have in your resume, the more it will help you.
Gotcha.
But I'm going to caution you, don't just rely on the keywords themselves. Because remember, if you have a file that's overly complex and the computer can't read it to begin with, and now you're going to stuff it with all these words because you think that keywords is going to be your magic answer here, realize that if you're putting all that effort and all those keywords into a garbage file, it's still going to end up here. It's still going to go in the trash.
Right.
So you're going to spend all your time keywording the living heck out of this file, not realizing that, oh, file complexity is also a thing. Data parsing is also a thing. So if you don't get those things, then you're just going to waste your time.
Right.
So I'll say to the point of, Thomas, when you ask about keywords, yes, but there's more to that. Do you recommend changing keywords or your resume based on the applications? I will say yes, to a point, but don't do it to a point where you're spending so much time keywording that you're not effective. And what I mean by that is you're like, oh, I really want this job and I'm going to spend all this time keywording, and you spend like an hour, 2 hours. You're like, oh man, there's like a million keywords in here, all perfect. And then you only get one application out, and then you find out you get that auto reject email because, again, your file wasn't right or something else was the issue. And then you just wasted all that time keywording for one application that you got rejected for. So what I like to tell people is find the balance, have a good baseline resume that'll get you, I'll say, good enough for your industry, for your general target that you're trying to hit, but do not go down the rabbit hole of every single application spending time on keywording. You'll drive yourself nuts.
And I was going to ask you about that because I've seen people. Let me say hi to Majida real quick. Hi, Majida. I'm glad you stopped in. I've seen people post about, they may be applying for different positions, so they tweak their resume according to the position.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? Like, take the keyword part of it out of it. Is there things that you might want to change on your resume to highlight different skills you have or qualifications you have depending on the role you're applying for?
So I'll keep this very basic. So let's say that you are an applicant and you want to go for project management, engineering, and I'll say data analysis. And those are like 3 different industries that you want to target, for example. You're going to want to have 3 separate resumes that will speak to those things, but not to go down that rabbit hole of, again, like making detail for individual roles. So if you have a resume that speaks to project management, leverage your project management resume, at scale. And if you have some jobs that you want to really put in a strong application and you want to throw in some extra keywords, cool. But just keep it simple in that way. Just have a resume for each.
So do it more industry specific instead of role specific. That way you're not
absolutely, because if you end up being role specific, you are going to sit there for hours. And the problem that you're going to run into is you're only going to have a few applications out. And you have to remember, in order to remain effective, you have to have a high volume of applications that are out there. Now, that doesn't mean a high volume of garbage. It just means high volume, from the good resume that you have as a baseline.
That makes a lot of sense. Because I would be one that would want to tweak my resume for every role. Like, I'd be so anal about it, so worried about it.
A lot of people do that. And the problem with that is, and this is why people are so burned out, is you're going to sit there and go, oh boy, I just spent like all this time keywording and like I am such a perfect fit and this and that. But little do you know, you don't have leverages. I'm just making an example.
Sure.
You don't have a contact that you hit up beforehand that was able to help you get in. And little do you know, your competition has referrals and contacts that they've capitalized on and all this other stuff. And here you are at your house thinking that, oh boy, I'm throwing in all these keywords and that's going to be my golden ticket. And little do you know, that's not going to work.
Right.
So your objective as a job applicant is to not throw out just a couple of applications that are stuffed with keywords. You've got to throw them out. You've got to get it out fast. Have a good baseline. If you have a good baseline, I promise you, it will return better results because what you're working with from the start is a good file and a good approach. And then from there, throw it out.
Yeah. Andrew made a good point.
Yeah, definitely. That is good advice too, to make sure that, because you don't want to fall into the trap of, oh, I don't remember which resume I submitted. And then you're like, oh, I don't remember whatever. So always keep track of, if I applied at this company or this job or whatever, that I said this, because you don't want to get in the interview and be like, oh, wait, what? Like, I don't remember what I said.
Hey, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I filled out 20 applications today. I didn't say that. You don't know what you said at that point.
Definitely have a file or at least a document or something that shows, okay, this is what I did here. This is what I used there. I'm also an advocate for, I call it like the master resume. Now I'll use myself as an example. I have a master resume and it's like 5 pages. I do not advocate for 5-page resumes. What that resume is this is everything that I've done like in any point in time for my entire life. And if I maybe want to go for a project management role, I will pull out all the points that say project management. If I decide that, okay, well, I want to go more for like, I don't know, data analysis, I'm going to pull out things that speak more to that. And for me, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Like, that's it.
Yeah, that makes
like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense, because you may forget something in the frenzy of trying to create a new resume or to tweak a resume. You may forget to add this certification or this time or whatever. You know what I mean? Just as a human, you might glaze over. So having a master one, that's just so simple. This
is the art of one. And I'm a big advocate for this. So I only say things once. I only do things once. I only write things once. So if you want to write something on your resume, and listen, I've seen so many times where people have version control because they're like, oh, well, I write this over here and then you write this over here. Next thing you know, you have like 10 resumes and you don't remember what you wrote, or you wrote it differently, or you forgot, or whatever. Guys,
or why you wrote it that way. You might go back to it and be like, why did I do that?
So go back to your original, your master file. And if you want to make a tweak, only make it to that one. And then if you want to have, I'll call them spin-off resumes for the different industries that you're trying to hit, pull it from the master.
Yeah.
You have to streamline it, because at the end of the day, and I think everybody here can agree, that job applicants are burned out. Why make it harder for yourself? So copy and paste as much as you can, automate as much as you can, and that's it. And that's what's going to get you the results that you need.
That is so incredibly simple, and it's like that just makes so much sense just in the simplicity of it.
Right. And it seems so simple, yet so many people either they don't know or they don't know how to do it. That they just would rather take the approach of, well, I'm just going to keep going and throwing out this bad resume. And it's like, I don't think people understand the value of, if you just took 5 minutes and said, this isn't working, maybe I should just stop and really get the help that I need. And then once you do that, then you realize, wow, this became so much easier. And I didn't need to spend hours keywording. I didn't need to spend all weekend applying for jobs just to get auto rejected.
Right.
Why not just stop, think, and say, okay, it's not working.
Yeah.
What kind of automations do you recommend for job seekers? Yeah, so finding opportunities to automate, basically. I'll give an example. So a lot of large corporations like Bank of America, JP Morgan, those guys, all their stuff is automated. And so typically, if you apply for a job there for one of their analyst roles, for example, their system's going to remember you. So your name, your email, your LinkedIn information, your whatever, all that stuff is remembered. And so all you have to do from that point is you can decide to upload a different resume if you want to tailor it. Or you can keep using the same resume if you don't want to make any changes. And this is, you just start firing them out. And that's called rapid firing technique. Now, there are different schools of thought on should you do that. And I will say for me, it has worked. I will say for me in times in the past, it hasn't worked. But, it's a roll of the dice whether or not it's going to work. But if you don't want to burn yourself out and you say, okay, I know that this company has a very large automated system. I'm going to do this where I just throw it out. The system's going to remember me. You just have to get good at knowing, is this company's one that uses an automation that I can capitalize on? My life easier. If yes, cool, I'll apply.
Yeah. Kind of like It's kind of the same principle as like the IRS. You just log in and all your information's still there from last year.
Pretty much, you know, and so if the computer is going to remember you, well, guess what? You're getting more applications from me. You know? Now, there are some risks to that, and I do talk people through that, which is the reason why it's not always the best approach. But just using JP Morgan as an example, huge company.
Yeah.
So they're definitely automated, okay? And the chances of there being any kind of repercussion of you doing a rapid fire is slim. So, you know, and I'm just using finance industry as an example, but if you're starting to target like banks that you want to work for, pick the big ones and then figure out where you want to rapid fire and just shoot them out.
Yeah. And so I was looking at something over here whenever you said that. Can you touch back on rapid fire for me?
Yes, as far as what that is.
Yeah, because I'm one track minded. So if I'm over here looking at something, I didn't catch everything you said on that.
Oh, yeah, no. So rapid fire is just a technique where, as the name suggests, you are rapid firing out your applications. And I'm talking about you got to get them out fast. You're not sitting there like this going, okay, let me read every single thing in this job description. Oh, let me think about it. No. This is what I do. And everybody laughs at me for this, but you know what? I'm telling you it works. So if this is your job description and you're reading it and it's like, here's the job title, I take like a 5-minute skim and I say, would I be vaguely interested in this? You know, if the answer to me is, yeah, guess what? I'm applying.
Yeah.
Because think about it this way, return on investment. I am going to spend maybe, you know, if I didn't do rapid fire, if I spent like the intentional time reading this job description, I'm going to read every single word. I'm going to ponder about it. I'm going to think. Guys, they're going to reject you in like 30 seconds. So you have to think in those terms. So why not spend just as much time on them as they're going to spend on you, which is not a lot. So throw your application out there. Guess what? If you get a call, cool.
Right.
So, I mean, I have a joke that I don't read job descriptions until I get a call because I'm not wasting my time. It's like dating. It's like, I'm not going to read all your profile and look at all your pictures and waste my time when you might not even swipe right. Am I right?
Yeah.
I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah. And so when you're talking about rapid fire, you're talking about multiple applications within the same company for different
that
roles?
is one approach. Well, rapid firing, well, yeah, so that would be just for one company, but you can rapid fire at that company and do it at other companies. But again, you have to be careful because, you know, not every company is JP Morgan. Not every company is huge. So, you know, on the other side of that, if you were to apply to a smaller company and you're like, oh, I'm going to rapid fire. Well, guess what? They've only got one HR person, and that HR person is going to say, oh, okay, so you applied to be the engineer, but you also applied to be the janitor, and you also applied to be the project manager. I think you're just confused.
Yeah.
Right. So just, again, you have to have that discretion to say, is this a good idea? You have to know where you're applying. If you're applying to mom and pop shop, that's probably not a good idea. But if you're applying to a JP Morgan, well, who cares? Yeah,
they're not going to catch it anyway.
Right. And that's what you have to get good at, is knowing the judgment call on, is this a good idea?
That makes a lot of sense. I like it.
Paradigm shift.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how many people know about rapid fire. I mean, I learned about it just because I was doing my own research and was trying to figure out different strategies. So I don't even know how well known rapid firing is.
I've never heard of it. Of course, that doesn't mean anything, but I've never heard of it before.
Okay.
Even seeing people on LinkedIn, like, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody post about it on LinkedIn.
It might be, well, again, maybe it's because maybe not a lot of people are doing it or know about it.
Right. That's what
I don't know. But so this is part of what I'm talking about when I say my application strategy consulting that I do. This is what I'm saying is, and that's just one, rapid firing is just one example. So that could be like one pillar of what you do. But again, there's other things. So I've done extensive research on what those things are to know how to, okay, you're going to have one of the things that you're going to do. You're going to do some rapid fire. You're going to do some of this. You're going to do some of that. You're going to do some of this. Something is going to shake out.
Yeah.
So back to the point of, if you're just going to be the standard old, job applicant who's just only applying online, well, you're going to get average results. If you want results, you have to be aggressive, diversified, robust. You've got to keep at it.
All the adjectives. You got to be them. I love that. Heck yeah. So how do people get in touch with you?
So I do have a website. It is solarplexusconsulting.com. I also do spend a lot of my time on LinkedIn because I like to content write about this stuff, not just about applying for jobs, but just general stuff too, helping people navigate and understand the systems. I've done a lot of posts about understanding just websites like Workday and Taleo and all those HRM systems that people can't get through. So I understand a lot about the tech stuff, so I have a lot of articles about that. So yeah, I would say LinkedIn is a big one besides my website.
Okay. Cool. Let me put that in the comments real quick.
So it looks like Andrew looking.
Andrew is looking, yeah, for about a year now.
I see a lot of people who have been looking for a long time, and I'll say that the situation that we're in now, there's jobs booming everywhere, guys. I mean, there's opportunity all over the place. So if you see a job that you want to apply for, I mean, there's jobs out there. But also realize there's a lot of applicants too, because of this whole thing with the pandemic, and everything's just been turned upside down. So there's a lot of job seekers, but there's also a lot of places hiring. So there's opportunity on both sides of the table there. I mean,
it's definitely a hiring market right now.
Yeah.
And then that's where you come in to help people stand out amongst the tens to hundreds of people who may be applying for this position.
Yeah, because the competition is fierce. You got to think about it. Everybody's coming out of the same situation. Which is, they've been in pandemic, or they've just been kind of stuck in their job, or they lost their job, or everyone's got the same story. So everyone's coming out of the pandemic with the same story. So it's going to be critical that you are not just an average person.
1,000 languages.
1,000 languages?
Yeah, that's impressive. I don't know how you ain't got hired yet.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Wait a minute. Who knows 1,000 languages? I know.
He said, I don't know. I just connected recently with Andrew, so I don't know him very well yet. So I don't know what Kenny's talking about. Sounds
like Andrew might need a new resume if he's been looking for a year.
I know. Yeah, right. Like, anybody? Like, I know. I was gonna say I know a guy. I know a gal.
Well, I mean, networking is huge.
Networking is huge. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely capitalize on your network if you have it. But also remember, I mean, if you're throwing out garbage, then you can only expect garbage, in return. So it's all about, are you communicating the right story? Are you communicating with impact? Are you communicating concisely from a values-driven perspective? I know that there's different schools of thought on this, but guys, 1 page for the resume. That's it. If you have a 4-page resume, that means that you are not communicating effectively or concisely. It doesn't mean that you don't have the ability. The whole objective of a 1-page resume is to get the interview, not communicate everything.
Because you want to get that interview. You want to be able to convey what you need to convey in a short amount of time as possible, so that you can come in and really convey what you need to convey.
Well, the objective, and that I teach this to people too, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize this, is that the objective of the resume is not to communicate everything that you've done for every employer that you've ever had. It's simply to get the interview. So what are the most notable things that you've done in your jobs? Communicate that. That's it. That doesn't mean that your other 5 bullet points that you didn't put on your resume didn't happen. It just means that you didn't talk about it yet. That's an interview piece.
Gotcha.
So just because you have a 1-page resume doesn't mean that you're selling yourself short. There is a way to communicate with the highest impact concisely. Because remember, these guys don't want to read a 4-page resume. They're not going to do it.
No,
they just simply won't.
Yeah.
So if you overwhelm them from the get-go, not only will you not get the interview, I mean, right?
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Especially if they're interviewing however many, 10 people or whatever, they don't want to read 40 pages of interviews. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's just as simple as this. All they're going to do is say, oh, don't have time for you.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
You got to give it to them simple, clean, easy to read. Remember, kind of like the computer. Remember how the computer didn't like anything that was too crazy? Well, guess what? People don't like it either. You give them something like way too complex to read, or they have to dig for your information, or they have to, try to decipher what you wrote. You're not going to like that.
At all. Yep. Awesome. Well, does anybody in the audience have any questions at all? Any more questions? Y'all been asking some killer questions tonight. That's awesome.
Yeah, I see a lot of chats going on here.
Yeah, I love it whenever it kind of makes it hard to keep up sometimes where the questions are and where they're holding a conversation amongst themselves.
Yeah, I was seeing a lot of comments about savoring the flavor.
Yeah, that's Kenny. That's Kenny. Yeah, that is Kenny, man. Savor the flavor. There he is again, right there.
Oh,
love it. All right, so DM you.
Yeah, if
Plexus Consulting.
Not connected to me on LinkedIn, I think I'm connected with some of you guys here already. But if you're not, please connect with me. Would love to connect with you. I'm always trying to put out good content, stuff to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'll always have my trash can ready for you guys.
Always. And I don't know if you guys noticed on the post I did today, that was a shredder in the background. I loved the post you did. Like, that was hilarious.
Yeah, I was gonna say I say that I shred resumes because I mean, I guess technically you should be shredding it if it is bad because it's got your contact info on it and like your info and stuff. Yeah. But I mean, this trash can was like $3 at Walmart and I thought it was cute. So, I'm trying to go through the whole like shred, trash, run it over with your car, like
whatever. Whatever you do,
destroying it. Fire,
yeah, whatever you do, get rid of it. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, Stephanie, do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't. I would just say, guys, if you wanna get in my trash can, it's here for you.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I learned a lot about the resumes and interview process and all that. So I appreciate you. I had a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you everybody for joining.
Yeah. All right. I'll have a good one.
All right. Bye.
Good night.